had someone recently in passing mention, and I think they were kind of kidding, but also maybe kind of curious, how you came to decide to work for me, and kind of curious that the funny part was, hey, did you twist his arm, or what did you do to get him to join the team?
Yeah.
Do you want to respond to that?
Yeah. I mean, in passing over the last 10 years, we've had conversations. I've never felt pressure from you, but more like, man, you'd be really good at real estate. Your personality fits that. And I had different career aspirations for the longest of times. And a couple of years ago, I realized not only is that something I'd want to do, but also I think it would fit my skill set really well. And then I know that he'll never talk about this, but like working with my dad is incredible. Especially hearing other people talk about his character and who he is as a person. Like, I have one of the greatest joys of working with my dad without really any strings attached. Like, I think we both enjoy working with each other and sometimes have a little too much fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little fun, but no, I appreciate that. I always thought it would be kind of cool to have a family member, and since it's called the Lang team, that would be kind of neat. And your personality and your character, I thought, would be a good fit if sometime down the road that ever worked out in your path. And it seems like to be good timing right now. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Okay, so you've worked in real estate for 17 years now, going on 18.
Yeah.
And Florida has changed a lot in this time. So what are some of the differences of real estate 17 years ago versus now?
Like how different the market is?
Market, maybe the process, or people. Are people different?
I don't know if people are different. I got into real estate in the 2008, 2009 year. And as most people would know, that was a time of kind of chaos in the real estate industry, especially in South Florida. I think Florida had the brunt of it with the real estate we call it a bust. But we had a time where we had falling values and a lot of inventory. It was a heavy buyer's market, to the point where some people, I don't know that they ever bought anything because they were so nervous. Even though you could buy a brand new house that was previously listed for $279 for $85,000, brand new, never lived in.
Oh my God.
And some people were just nervous and never got into anything. But I remember, Drew, that doing a search for someone, and someone would have a pretty general, typical search. I want a 3-2, 16, 17, 1,800 square feet in Cape Coral, and doing the search, and 250, 300 homes pop up, all matching that search going, that's, it's unmanageable. You have to try to figure out ways to narrow that down and really focus in on what's going to work for them. Versus today, which is much more, especially in the single family market, much more of a balanced market.
Yeah.
And really the last dozen to 14, 15 years were more normal years. But the first few were crazy.
I think you also told me that wasn't it like above 50% of all house sales were foreclosures? Something crazy.
And
like
short
that?
sales. Yeah. If you lump short sales and foreclosures in I'm sure, I don't remember exactly what the number is, but it was well over 50% of all the home sales were foreclosures and short sales, which are a completely different animal. But that was, and maybe being brand new in the business, I didn't know any better. I just knew that this was the market that we were in at the time, and you made it work. But it was completely different than what it's been recently. And I'll tell you what, I'll take the balanced market more over the.
I like less foreclosures.
Yeah, it's crazy. And people complain about the last couple of years. Trust me, our foreclosure and short sale percentage of the market is so small that it doesn't even compare to what we had to deal with before.
Actually, now that I think about it, in working with you for 9 months now, I think you've mentioned that you've had a foreclosure maybe once, which is not as much as I expected coming in. I thought there'd be a lot more that you deal with, but it is
recently.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of short sale listings. And really the only people that would be in risk of that are people who bought within the last couple of years. back when in COVID, when it was more of a seller's market, and then their life changed. One was his job transferred him, and the market's been a little softer, so selling it to a point where you could get out from underneath a note is difficult. But it's been, as a percentage of listings or sales or transactions as a whole, super, super small, probably less than 1%. Curious, Drew.
Okay, I'm ready.
What in real estate would you consider a little bit more old school that maybe I've mentioned that you should do, that maybe you were a little skeptical at first, but have found out that it actually works?
That's a good question. I think like two come in mind. First one's handwritten letters, and it just...
That's pretty analog.
It feels so old. No offense to you. But, I also understand it now from a logical standpoint. In a day and age where it seems like everyone gets spam phone calls and texts from people that you don't even know or never signed up for, when you have a conversation with someone and then they send you a written letter that they wrote themselves, I think it shows a level of care and professionalism that you just don't get quite often.
I think if you send an email to them, there's a good chance, at least that they don't even see the email.
Yeah.
They get so much. There's so much digital, digital's a wonderful thing, but there's so much digital that sometimes your message can get a little bit lost in that digital realm. So flipping it, and there's nothing magical about a handwritten note other than maybe it shows that you put a little bit of time and effort into it. But I think the trick is it's something that other people aren't doing, so you stand out a little bit more.
Yeah.
It does work.
And I think the other one would be phone calls.
Which are hard right now.
Yeah, especially with spam calls recently. And you might be surprised by this. I actually do not like phone calls whatsoever. Yeah. I'd rather just text for all my conversations,
which is your age group.
Yeah.
And really all age groups right now, it's much easier to get a hold of someone or have someone comment back to you via text than phone calling, especially leaving a voicemail message. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I had someone that I called that didn't respond. I texted them immediately, and they just started responding immediately because it seems like there's almost this fear. But I do notice that when I do get someone on the phone, a lot of maybe the possible missed signals or ways that they could misinterpret a text kind of go away. Because a lot of it would be voice inflection, and you can't say everything on a text, no matter how good of a texter you are.
Yeah. I mean, texting may be the easier way to get a hold of someone, and I get it. But as you know, or what you found out is if you can actually have a conversation with someone, how much more effective, how much more efficient that is. You can ask a question and they can clarify your question, or you can get an answer and then they can clarify what their answer is, or you can go back and forth. It's much more difficult leaving a message. An email is very, very difficult, and text is even kind of hard. And you're right, you don't get voice inflection. So someone can say something and it can mean 2 or 3 different things depending on, what you hear. So even though it is harder to get people on the phone, when you actually are able to, it is much more effective.
Especially with the prevalence of AI. I mean, how many spam texts or emails do we get on a daily basis, let alone the average person? And having a phone call in a way kind of tells you that you actually exist to the other person.
And I think also, since you brought up AI, since there's so much digital, so much AI, so much created content, I think people are going to, if they haven't already, gravitate to things that just look and feel real.
Yeah.
Even if they're not perfect. Even if there's, we make mistakes in how we talk and interact. I have found myself ignoring what's an obvious AI created content.
Yeah.
And pausing and listening to something that's obviously human created. So is digital as great as AI, and we use AI in our business.
Yeah.
It has limitations, and I think going forward that the more, I don't know if this is too much information.
No, I think it's good. That personal touch does matter.
It's the personal touch, and as digital gets larger and more prevalent, kind of looking back at some of the more analog, some of the more old school techniques, I think there's a way that you can stand out a little bit in the crowd.
Going completely off topic, it is funny that I've gotten more into vinyl as of lately,
Yeah.
it being an older thing, but there is something about the tactile feel of putting it in, and you kind of miss that with Bluetooth and streaming.
Yeah, having a little bit of dust static in the speakers, which maybe if you're younger, you don't quite get sometimes. But for us people, it brings back memories.
Yeah. Here's a fun question. What do we tell clients that maybe the average agent would not?
That's a good question, because I know what I've tried to do for a long time is, and it's difficult sometimes, or you're tempted sometimes, because you'll be in a situation maybe with a seller, and in their conversation, you do get an idea of what maybe their expectation for price is, for their particular home. And the temptation, I wouldn't say that other agents purposely lie, but the temptation is if you know what they're expecting, maybe tell them a little bit about what to expect and secure that listing. I found, however, that I want to be honest with them what comparables I found that are similar to their home, what the market's doing at any particular time. We track all that. We track the market trends, which direction is it going. And I want to be as honest as possible the way I see the market, the value of their home, if there's any improvements that they need to do, even if I know that they don't want to hear it, because I'd rather under promise and overperform. And it doesn't do anyone any good if we set improper expectations, because their expectation, their goal is not to just list their property. Their goal is to sell the property.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing them a favor by just simply listing it for what they think the value is, if I purposely know that they're drastically off on their expectations. I want to be honest with them, and then they can decide. And then part of my goal and relying on my skill is to show them the evidence. I don't know if they'll just believe me telling them anything, but if I show them the evidence and help them self-discover, I'm doing them the full service.
Yeah, and I think it shows, because a lot of your clients are repeat clients. They've worked with you before.
Yeah. Good precision by business is repeat and past client referral. And I think that I would attribute that to taking care of them and being honest, setting expectations, and then overperforming those expectations where I can. I don't think that they would call me or refer their sister or their neighbor if they had a bad experience.
What do you wish buyers knew before coming to us?
Oh, probably a couple of things. And it's with, again, digital, it's so easy to go search. Hey, I want to search for a home. So get on Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, it's just a million websites out there that you can start looking, even if you're months out. But what I would like buyers to know is, I know your gut feeling is, I'm not ready yet. I'll get in touch with an agent down the road. Get in touch with a good agent. Ask your relatives, ask coworkers, who would you recommend? Find someone good and get them involved in the process earlier than later, even if you're not quite ready. The reason why is a couple things. They can put you in contact with good lenders, with good people to get that process started for you, and give you advice. You can scroll on Zillow forever, but we can help you focus and make your search a little bit more efficient and effective for you, as opposed to just doom scrolling property listings. So, and keep in mind also that, we don't get paid.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Until not only are you ready to make an offer, you make that offer, the buyer or the seller accepts it, they accept all the terms, we go through the process, the property appraises, it goes through inspections, we get all the way to the end, and you're successfully closing. That's the only time we get paid. So all that work up front that you're worried about hiring a realtor for, it's all free work, basically. And then at the end of the day, we right now in Southwest Florida are able to, most likely put that fee into the negotiation and have the other side pay for it. So
yeah, and one thing I've experienced talking to people that don't own a home is they don't think they can, and they start unintentionally making decisions that prevent them from ever doing that. And since if you just talk to a realtor, generally a good realtor will be focused on getting you what you need, and we're not getting paid for it. It's a free consultation to either help you gain wealth or make your life dreams come true. Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
I think people get skittish.
And then number two is, and if they came to us and we sat down and discussed what they're actually looking for, what their plans, what their goals, what their aspirations are, what we're going to advise them to do very early in the process, one of the first things that they should do is talk to a lender. If they don't have anyone, we can recommend a couple to them. But talk to a lender, even if you're 6 months out. The reason why is even though you may be able to qualify for a loan today, you may be able to put yourself in a better position with better terms, better interest rate, believe it or not, by just looking at it ahead of time. There's a lot of little things that a lender could advise you to do, and some of them, Drew, take several months to accomplish. And if you start talking to a lender when you found your perfect home, you just simply don't have the time to do that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, knowledge will really go a long way with buying a home. Why not get free knowledge and talk to someone that, if they're good, they'll want to help you, put you in the best position to win possible.
And guess how much you pay for that?
Nothing.
Yeah,
it's completely free.
Right. In casual, I've had someone recently. I'll start over.
So, I'm totally adding this to a blooper track.
But I think people are going to, if they haven't already, because I have. Sorry.
I don't know if I caught it, but
yeah. All right.
Side topic. I am excited to fix my transmission. That'll be fun.
Yay. Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. What do we wish buyers knew?
Say that one more too.
Oh, yes. Please. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Tops.
Yes.